Hey, there we are.
Arriving in orbit soon.
Yeah, that was the next gen trailer announcement.
My mic. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, the next gen. We're doing PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X.
Yeah, last Monday, Wired. Oh, is there something going on?
Are we offline? We are offline.
Wah, 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 wah.
Is Jordy still there? I think he only hears us now.
Yeah.
So we are offline?
I'm not even on.
We are online? No.
I'm. Let me see.
Let us know when we are. Oh, we are online? Oh, yeah, we are back. Okay, that's great. No, we were just saying if the trailer was shown, if we were online at that point, Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, we just announced it that we are going to do Deliver Us the Moon
Yeah.
on next gen.
Yeah, it was announced with, of course, the Wired Direct on Monday. Good to say is it's very exciting. I think it belongs on a next-gen platform, especially since we did the RTX upgrades on the PC version.
Yeah.
And what's also good, or what I like to mention, besides being very excited for next-gen, is that we are still working on new things.
Yeah, we need to be very vague about this,
Yes.
but we are working on something very special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't mean that this is nowhere less exciting, because the game can be very cool on a next-gen platform.
Definitely.
Sometimes I'm even playing Deliver Us. I've tried it on the Series X. I'm the lucky one that has a Series X. I don't own a PlayStation 5 because that's like even more worth than gold now.
We do
But
have a dev kit, so it's like easier to get a dev kit than the consumer edition of PlayStation.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's actually not why we are here. Like
No.
this is we are doing this this podcast kind of like a fire talk or a discussion about something within the industry.
Yeah.
And like last time we did a fireside with a lot of very cool people and talk a little bit about like differences between AAA and indies and kind of like how we could learn from each other, and also like is it changing from the past to the present. But today we are going to talk a little bit more about running a company, running a game company, or running an entertainment company, and how that becomes more feasible and not only like a creative idea.
Yeah, exactly. The business side of things.
The business side of things.
Yeah. And maybe to introduce, because of course Paul and me can ramble on about this, but we got a very old, recognizable person from the past of KeokeN that is with us again.
Yes.
And he's called Mr. Jordy Velasquez. Look
Yes.
who we have here.
Hey, guys, it's nice to be here with you guys. Long time no see.
And we also have another guest with us, also our very own Giuliano.
Yeah. Awesome to be here, guys. So thanks for allowing me here to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. Giuliano is out of sight, so you have a very nice picture of him seeing below. He's the producer at KeokeN on new things.
Yeah. Also, like I completely forgot. Like we changed the studio a bit. We got this beautiful logo now in kind of like our neon logo now. I'm in love with it.
Yeah, it's
Sexy.
it was a child of Paul. He was working on these neon things, and he wanted to develop something like it.
I get very happy from these little things. Like it's just beautiful.
I am equally as happy. I feel it's very sexy. I love it.
Thank you, Jordy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So with Jordy from like the older days, because it's Jordy really saw how the company started from like the child's shoes on, still working on multiple angles, how to get stuff running. And
I think, Jordy, you were the first one we hired.
yeah,
Like you were the first employee that we hired for KeokeN.
now it's he was definitely the moment when we started like, hey, we also need to pay our people. that's where
Yes.
it started. Like let's start. Are we able to? And that was of course due to many good things happening in that time.
So maybe that it could be a good perspective. Like how did you kind of find KeokeN? In what kind of situation was KeokeN and the project that we're working on, Jordy?
Sure. So I was getting out of business school and I wanted to do, my thesis on something I actually liked. And this opportunity, I heard from a friend of a friend about you guys. And then I came, and I remember I interviewed you guys, like, and I feel like I came with like a suit on or something. It was like, I was like, this is a game company. And I think you guys were like, what is this? And, but we had a really good rapport and you guys were like, yeah, we'll give you a shot. We always love free labor. So let's go.
The best, the best thing about your application was that the picture you've shown on your cover letter or something was when you walked in, it was exactly that face. It was a little scary. That was exactly the picture.
I like that. I've heard that this face is also very punchable.
That's what I didn't thought.
On the street, yeah. And then, I remember it was such an exciting thing. Koen, you basically sat me down for 2 weeks and you were like, I'm just going to teach you everything I know about games, game making, the business that I know so far. And it was like, talking to an encyclopedia. And after that, we were trying to think about how can we actually, number one, make this game, but how can we, grow as a company, right? Yeah. And it's kind of like you need, I don't know, we talk about this sometimes, Koen, but it's like we needed all the pieces kind of moving up at the same time. So game development had to move up with, and then one of the hardest things I felt was, we need something to present, a demo, which, we presented a lot.
Yes.
And because we needed to build credibility to be able to get people to give us money.
Kind of, yeah. That's usually following up on each other.
But actually, Jordy, when you started the product or Live for Us the Moon, the state of the Live for Us the Moon was very different than that the people know today.
Well, what did you think when you saw it at first?
It's so funny. This is something I could say sincerely that's going to sound weird to especially to you guys, because you guys have been there even longer than I have, obviously. I thought it was super cool immediately. Like I didn't know what it was, and I don't think you guys knew what it was, but like all I knew was like, there's something here and I can like run with this. That's it. That's like literally how I felt about it. And my expectations were like, this is like something that's going to compete with everything. This is amazing. And I think because of that belief, that sincere belief, I remember like Remco programming, like another thing. And it's like, oh, whoa, we can do this. This is even more amazing. And I kept getting my mind blown. And because of that, I felt confident telling people like, yo, this is it. Like, we're going to deliver the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's also nice to have the perspective of Giuliano. So Giuliano came in later in the process, later on like the Live for Us the Moon process. And what do you kind of expect when you're kind of working on
maybe start with like, hey, how did Giuliano started at KeokeN?
Yeah.
How did he contact us?
Sure. So I was obviously starting off with writing down an email, really applying with an open solicitation at KeokeN. I think earlier that year somewhere, I already connected with Paul on LinkedIn, and I thought, oh, Paul, pretty cool, co-founder. You know what? I'll just add him in, and then I looked up his company. And the company of Koen and Paul, and I was like, oh damn, Deliver Us the Moon, pretty amazing game. I'm studying a game study right now, so might be something for the future. And then at a certain point, I was looking for an internship in my last year, and I kind of reached out to KeokeN Interactive with an open application, and immediately I wrote down, I think like 2 full pages of text and a motivation letter on why I wanted to work with you guys. And I don't regret it since. It's been amazing. So, yeah, that's kind of how I started here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
I think I miss your physical application that you came by to the office. I missed that one. And you said, like, yo, Paul, I found somebody that's really good
that's
at
true.
it.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, who is this? It's like, yeah, Giuliano. I was like, what? Is it an Italian guy or something? What was this?
Yeah. Usually when he walked in, I started like, okay, I was looking for you, but then someone else, because you're also
a younger version.
not even, maybe a better version. I don't know. No, but it was. Yeah, I think it gelled very well from the beginning, and I was like, and you know, we didn't necessarily look for a producer or anything like it. But and this is usually a thing in the business, maybe in general, is when you start something, as much as I can do a little programming, but definitely, I mean, if Remco just hears me now, he's like, what the hell is this guy talking about? No shit. He doesn't know shit. But you know your blueprints, right, Jordy?
Nobody's better than me. I think they work like Legos. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty easy. Yeah.
But it's you start to kind of like delegate all these things, you know. So and also this with Gijano, you know, after such an intense period of development and learnings actually through our whole road, it's something that is also scary to kind of give out to someone else.
For us, it was like a learning process as well to delegate that to certain people. We have a little Julia there.
Oh,
Oh, okay. We need to get that out. Now, to delegate it to certain people, stuff that you do yourself, and you think like, oh, I can't give this away. But especially with Gijano, like this was something we could do.
yeah, for sure.
Out of like a very rough period.
Yeah, and I can also jump back to Jordy on this, because running the business or the business side of things, and you've seen that from the beginning of where that was already hard for me to also kind of give to you guys. I remember a very good
Kickstarter.
of course, Kickstarter. But before we go into that, when you guys, I think it was Paul and Johan going to GDC and you and Chris going to like Texas, that was a tough call, I can say, for me.
This was a big one for you guys. There was a lot of, you know, and I think a learning experience for everybody. It was a small company and involved trust. You guys were a little scared, but then, you know, you trusted it, and it was a success, right? So
Yeah.
It was a really great success. And, you know, Austin was amazing. The only part that I hated about it was that I had terrible diarrhea. I swallowed something at a pool or something, and it was just, thankfully it was 24 hours and I could do the entire event, but I was in a bad shape. It was not a lie.
Wow.
But I know it was tough because this was kind of the first time we could travel. So we could travel to San Francisco and to Texas, and to not pick yourself, like was Johan and I going to San Francisco, and Koen said like, okay, I'm staying here to keep developing and craft the game.
Yeah.
But that was a kind of a tough decision to make for Koen as well. It's like, am I staying? I kind of want to go as well.
Koen was jealous. He wanted to be there.
Of course, I would be lying to say when I was sitting at home, it's like fucking shit.
Wrong choice.
Yeah.
Why did I stay? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But yeah, that sometimes just has to happen. Also to learn from it. Not even if it was pretty good. You know, everything went very well. So, but it's also something that teaches yourself. Like, yeah, you make you can make the choice, and you made it. So, yeah. Let me see if we go back to that Kickstarter moment, because you know Paul and me really sat at like the kitchen table without anything, thinking of companies like Guerrilla Games, kind of wondering like why wouldn't there be a second developer like this, and that's where I'm like, yeah, well, why don't we start it then? And
we did a few work for hire projects, and we saw very early on like this is not what we want in life.
No.
We need to make it more feasible to create these big entertainment titles. How are we going to do this?
Yeah, the hard part is where you still think that if you can get money in some way. So, for example, let's make a crazy stupid app for someone that you know is sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm always getting signals here. So
Yeah, that's like a lot of people here.
And when you have like you make this stuff for someone else, and then you think that the money you will earn from it you can use, for example, in your game that you're developing, that's kind of a lie, because it always, you know, every client needs attention, and usually they need attention to the highest amount. So all your time will be swallowed, and time is money, and so all your money will be swallowed.
Yeah, that's true.
So
and you can put the love and interest into a product like that, and it will kind of you will see that in the product. So all the flaws that you're making within it, because you don't really love it, you're just doing it because you want some budget to put in something you love. So eventually we turned to a Kickstarter. So we said like, hey, let's build up a Kickstarter, and that's where Jordy came in as well.
Yeah.
What do you remember from that?
I remember everything extremely well. I have an excellent memory. I remember the first thing when I told Koen, hey, I want to do a Kickstarter. He was like, yeah, no. Literally said no. And I understand why he said no. And, you know, Koen, it's kind of funny because it's kind of to your point. Let's be honest here. There are going to be some people who start a game business who have to do other things on the side.
Yeah.
Because that is a way of getting it done. And it's hard. But, you know, to your point, what you just said, how like it's not what you wanted. Well, then it's like, okay, well, if you don't want to do it this way, then we got to have to do it this way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why you came around. You're like, let's just fucking go for it. Green light, foot on gas pedal. And we got down to research. We started researching everything. So one of the first things we did was get a Steam green light.
Yeah.
You know, because one of the things you need on Kickstarter is credibility of any, and we had zero credibility.
Yeah.
So we were trying to figure out, well, what's credible? Oh, we presented at a game show. That's credible. We've been greenlit on Steam. That's also credible.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't talk about it enough, but it was such an ambitious thing that we did,
I
which
agree.
was putting out a demo that people could play for free on Kickstarter. Because I actually look around and I don't really see a lot of game companies that have done that. Even though our demo, you know, had its issues, it was something, you know, it was something, you were getting something immediately, which in Kickstarter is kind of unheard of. So, and everything, once we pressed go live on that Kickstarter, that was one of the most beautiful and stressful months of my entire life. I think for everybody was like involved. Anybody we knew was watching the numbers with us. It was such an incredible time, and it had a lot of exciting things. And I know probably you're going to touch on some of them, so I'll let you hit them. But yeah, it was a really incredible thing to be a part of.
I have to say, like, people underestimate a Kickstarter. Like, if you see it from the outside, you think like, oh, pretty easy. Put some like photos on it, a little bit of goals and stuff. Yeah, that stuff took
at least 5 months preparation.
Yeah, it was more than
I
people
remember
expect.
I was like, you know, green as hell, thinking like, whatever, a 6-figure Kickstarter, like asking for 100,000 euros. Easy. I mean, let's try that number. But when we started talking about it and we started to research, and I remember some conversations with Jordy and stuff about like, hey, you see these Kickstarters? Yeah, this is just 30K and they didn't reach it. And like, really? And we were at the verge of Kickstarter changing a bit, because if you would do a Kickstarter on this level, like with a green without any track record, that was really tough. So most of the people that we talked to said like, you guys are fucking crazy, never gonna happen. And
nobody believed in it.
No, and I said like, I don't know. I think I still think that there's something there. And I have to say, if we do have to talk about an overnight success in the development of Deliver Us the Moon, it's the Kickstarter, because I remember so much that it was so nice, Jordy, that you hand made all these emails and sending out to all these YouTubers. I think it were like 5,000 to 10,000 emails or something.
Easily. I found them all.
No, but it's insane, because a lot of people don't know that. It's like you have that Kickstarter, you get the kind of the marketing and the push, you get it from Kickstarter itself. And of course they are pushing and they're helping, but you send so many emails to so many YouTubers and streamers, and we got picked up randomly.
Honestly, I have to take things a little straight here, but Kickstarter just starts to help you when you are popular.
Yes.
So if you don't do your first push, then there's no pick this project as a favorite. That came inside the Kickstarter. So to some extent, when that happens, then they say like, oh, this is a project we love, and then they feature you a bit better. But I have to say that I think it was the moment when I was having dinner at home and my phone started to buzz around. And it was
breakdance moves there.
And it was like, the best thing I remember was that someone said on Facebook, 6,000 followers, with like a question mark. I'm like, do I need to buy this stuff or something? Or what is this?
I think you called me and said, Paul, damn, man, I think we are hacked.
Yeah.
I said, hacked? What do you mean, man? Are you hacked? It's like, like somebody's on Twitter, my phone is exploding. And then we checked this stuff out.
Yeah. And it was Gronk, of course, the German YouTuber. And this is the best thing of, I think, if we turn it back to the business side of things, how do you deal with that? So when everybody wants to hit that moment where you have a big YouTuber featuring you, sending all their community to you, because our numbers were spiking heavily. Like we had 200 followers and suddenly we had 13,000. So I think what happened is that if you kind of, I started thinking, what do these people want to see? They want to see a response in some way. You know, they're trying to get you out of your hole somewhere, and it worked. And I remember that we drove back to Chris's house and we just went live. Yeah. It was even only our audio. I remember it was like nothing. It was super bad.
I think we broke every rule on Twitch, so there was like everything that was not allowed. We did so. We used like copyright music. The alcohol was involved. Like, it was
there was beer. There was
problematic.
Yeah, and that kind of sparked a big attention in the Grom community back then. That they're like, oh, cool. These guys are actually very happy, and
wildfire.
So
total wildfire.
And of course, a Kickstarter is a month, and that's where our minds were going. Like, how can we establish because Kickstarters are known for having a good start, having a massive dip in the middle, and going back up, hopefully, in the end, kind of reeling it in. But we said, like, how do we make sure that we manifest on a good exit in the Kickstarter? And this is where we started thinking on, like, why don't we live stream our final day? I remember it was like the final day where we said, like, what if we go live and we say, we show these people, they can talk to us, and then I think was it Gronk that said, like, yeah, I'm gonna do a dedicated stream for you guys, but it was never talked about with Gronk. It was just happening organically, right?
It's incredible. It is such a, so, you know, one of the things that I think we should be, you know, clear about is that this was an extremely lucky situation. But it took like me sending emails, like when you told me like the biggest YouTuber for Germany, I was like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
I had no idea who that was. I don't know anything about Germany. So, and then, you know, we've met him now a couple times. He's a lovely guy, but we didn't know anything about him at all. And the amount of help, and like, great point as well, like the way that things just happened organically, like we were like, we need to let people see our reactions to his live stream that he's going to do, that we tried reaching him because we were like, this is a great idea, but he just did it. Yeah. So we owe him a lot. And, you know, and I think that, you know, we have a continuing relationship, which is great, but yeah, I mean, without that push, this thing just exploded overnight. And it was like a very good feeling. Like we put in the hard work on trying to, you know, make it happen. Yeah. And that moment where like, that was one of the first victories, because things were still scary even after that. But when Gronk came in, I think like I personally felt like now I'm getting more confident and I could start to see the finish line on this thing.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, reacting on people, like I've heard some artists and musicians as well, and they are like having a SoundCloud and there's like comments on it, and it's like, don't react to everything because that feels desperate as an artist. I think that's ridiculous. We're reacting on every single comment, every tweet that we got, everything that people send us messages, even physical stuff. We send it everybody a little message back. Yeah. And I think this weird thing in having that status and saying like, yeah, you need to have some sort of like a little bit of a distance between you and your fans. It's ridiculous. Like it helped us so much to react on every single one of them.
Yeah.
I actually think that it helped to humanize us because we were, and it kind of still is. It was like, we're a bunch of guys in a room with a dream. Yeah. It's a small company. We want to make cool video games. Help us do that. And people were like, yeah, these guys, that's exactly who they are. Yeah. And we were talking to everybody. And even like people who were negative, we would talk to. Yeah. We talked to everybody, even people who were like, your game is shit. Like, thank you for your comment.
Yeah, and I think even throughout the Kickstarter, there was moments where I remember in the dip in the middle, I think we were hitting almost 70% and it was closing into the end. And
it was scary.
It was like, are we ever going to make the leap of 30%? I mean, and many people thought, and 30% is literally on 100,000, 30,000 euros. So that's a lot of money. And I remember that, man, Jordy, do you remember Casual Connect in the middle somewhere?
I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember I got the flu there that day.
Dude,
too with you.
I'm not sure what happened to you there, but you were so off because you didn't feel right.
Yeah, we can't blame the guy.
And I remember that we were just talking to some people that were, so many people were like, yeah, is it gonna happen? Is it not? And of course we were standing there and saying like, well, yeah, I think it's still happening. But it was super scary because, and not only for us, it would also be the attempt Gronk gave us to push this Kickstarter in the right way was also for him like, I hope this is gonna happen because that helped him also, that his community kind of makes this possible, to give people a chance.
But eventually we got it.
Yeah.
So we
And
got
a crazy night.
The crazy night.
Oh,
We got the 100K, and of course that makes it a little bit more feasible to portray your dreams. So what did we do with the money?
Okay, first of all, it's not 100K. Let's talk
Exactly.
about that.
It wasn't the 100K.
So I think I wouldn't be lying that only half of it was we were able to use.
Yeah, so what a lot of people don't know, you have, because mostly it's used via credit card, so PayPal is not involved.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the credit card bounces. So when you are hitting a limit, Kickstarter said like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't get the money out of the credit cards.
Yeah.
So it bounced back, and that's like a 20%. So already 20K was gone on credit card bounces.
Yeah, then you have like you pay off your stuff to Kickstarter. That was around 5 or 10%.
Yes.
And then also the tax agency knocks on your door like, hey, we kind of want some blue.
We got some, you got some juice.
We got some. Nice. So eventually you kind of are lost with your calculations because you're like, oh shit, but we're out.
People will see that 100K. So they say like, yeah, you got 100K, right? And of course, like the whole logistics behind it is not something you can easily see.
No. Also sending out all those physical stuff.
Yeah, that's you need to pay. That's something that you can miscalculate.
I remember that we said like, so the added costs on like shipping costs is something extra, right? And I remember that we looked each other in the eye and they said, yeah, that's going to be extra on top of the Kickstarter. No. It wasn't. It was all included. So to some extent, of course, it helped us. It showed us like we had a podium, we presented something with a successful Kickstarter, but in the end, it was down to I think a couple of months of people that we could hire, such as Jordy, and we had a couple of computers and some trips done.
No problems.
Sorry, what did you say, Jordy?
I said more money, more problems.
Yeah. Before we head on, I want to hear Gijano's take on if you hear this, like how it started. How do you?
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty mind blowing from where you guys started on the kitchen table to where we are sitting in the streaming room right now. It's an incredible journey I think you guys went through. I only got to live part of that. I think the toughest part that you guys witnessed together with Jordy, I wasn't there for it. At some extent, I'm kind of thankful I wasn't there for it. But then again, I'm also, if I'm hearing all the amazing stories that you guys mentioned, I think it's a great learning curve and a great experience and something you won't forget. And I think you go as a person, but also as a company. So never forget where you come from. And I think that's a good takeaway from
Well,
this.
we're going into a little more details on your end because definitely not any less hard, I could say. But
It just changes perspective a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It will be the
Absolutely.
same kind of level of tough.
oh yeah, it's only the responsibilities grow bigger, but it's always hard for some reason.
Yeah.
No, but Jordy, I remember, and that's something you were super disappointed at Gamescom 2015. I remember, and I remember there was a moment where you had a talk with someone in the business area. I think it was some companies or something you're trying, and they were all suits, and you said like, these people don't want to listen to us. You walking in that monkey suit, of course, the blue space suit. And you said like, I'm so disappointed that nobody wants to listen to us or wants to make time for us, that we left you on the booth alone. Because I remember we had to showcase at like a big a big podium. Mm-hmm. And then someone came by along the names of Chris Charla.
That's right, like the head of ID Xbox, and we had a lovely conversation.
You didn't know him.
No, I had no idea who he was. That's always me. Like I have no clue. And then I told Koen. Koen was like, "You know who this is, right?" I no clue. And I was talking to the guy like he was just a regular guy. And then I think that actually helped me at that moment.
Yeah.
And he was really cool and he was really nice. And yeah, I remember feeling like so down. I'm like, I need to get a victory here.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. Like I got a huge victory until you came back from that showcase, which that was really, really great.
Yeah, if you think what happened from that point on from Xbox side, because we have a massive thank you to Microsoft to help us out along the way. So if they ever claim to help indies, they actually do.
I have to say that the risk kind of Microsoft takes on indies and helping them out without any restrictions or kind of holding you tied to contracts, that's insane.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Very helpful. Yeah.
Because that
Definitely helped us.
Yeah, because that conversation, Jordy, brought us some opportunities that we went for, such as showcasing our game at E3. And do you remember what with Jessica? I remember it was Jessica. What she said when we asked her, like, why did you pick us? Why us? Do you remember what she said?
I don't remember.
She said,
Tell
like,
me.
because you guys always show up.
Yeah, okay, but you need to tell a little bit what happened. So you need to tell a little bit about for the people that are listening in. You need to tell what happened because there's like big showcases at E3, Los Angeles, GDC, of course. But there's like these massive showcases, these announcements. But when you're a part of those announcements, most of the time it's gonna be a lot of marketing money.
Yeah,
but we didn't pay anything.
No.
So what happened, Jordy?
So me and Koen were in LA at the worst hotel in the universe, in the whole universe. We honestly, I think we were so excited. Like it was almost like nothing could go wrong for us there.
Yeah.
Even with this, like the worst hotel in the universe, we were happy to be in the worst hotel in the universe. We laughed about it. Everything became a positive. We took a cab to E3 to this Microsoft like showcase event, and we shared it with some people. They were nice enough to do the cab. That's another story for another time.
Yeah.
Koen is already laughing. And we get there and we sit down, and it's like a huge auditorium. There's thousands of people there. And we're sitting there, we're seeing all these huge things. And then they do the ID at Xbox, the indie game spotlight. And we see Deliver Us the Moon there, like the scene where the doors open up for the first time. And that was like, that was an amazing, amazing moment. I felt like one of those moments that impacted me emotionally where I was like, we somehow willed this game that is still not complete and is practically a nice looking demo to LA at the Microsoft booth. I actually thought like I got imposter syndrome on the next level at that moment. And I was very proud as well.
Yeah, and also when we walked around the booth, because like the very classic matchup between PlayStation and Xbox was there still, and I was walking like around the booth, and I was starting to. That's what we always do. We are nice. We're starting to present yourself to some developers. And I remember just saying like, "Hey guys, oh nice game, Song of the Deep. I don't know what it is. Who are you guys? We're Insomniac Games. Like, yo, shit. That you guys are indie. Yeah, we're existing for like a couple of years. But
I think that's the whole beauty of like the game industry. I think we were at ID. It was ID at Xbox in San Francisco as well, and I just had a taco with a guy. I said, "So you are making games as well?" yeah. And it was kind of the guy from Insomniac. He was the creative director.
Yeah,
he made Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's like, it's pretty cool. You're right. And I think it was Song of the Deep as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that is just beautiful of the game industry. That is really like open-minded, and it's kind of like open source, I almost say.
Well, I remember, Jordy, you went into what was it? A meeting with Microsoft itself, talking about. So you're here now. You're on the booth. You were in the show,
searching for a publisher.
And he. Do you remember what this guy said to you?
Oh yeah, we had a little bit of a Cubano connection too. And he was like, "Yeah, why don't you just talk to this guy? This is the guy that'll help you out."
Yeah.
And I said, "All right, cool." And then walked right up to him, told him who told me, and then that ended up being Starbreeze. And then we had a conversation, and I remember. I just remember Koen also being like, "You're gonna need to make something happen."
Yeah,
but you said something specific to Starbreeze.
No, that's another one. But
That's another one. Yeah,
was another one. Okay.
Yeah, because Microsoft actually told Jordy, like, I don't know what I'm selling here, because what you've already gotten, that's something I can sell you right now. Like, you can be on the show, you can be on the booth, but there's someone at Microsoft that loves you guys because you got all this stuff already.
He's like, normally people would be paying for this. I don't know how the hell you're here. And I thought, oh, well,
Yeah.
cool. So we were doing something right. You know, I guess we're just, I sometimes like to think we're like a little fly that's just like,
If if I have
yeah,
if I have to guess, I think it's Chris Charla, and I just want to thank him again for that. I think it's him because he loves Space Games, so he might have said like, "You got to give those guys this, boom, and just do it, take a chance."
very well could be.
Yeah. Anyway, but that brought us with the publisher. But that's the fun fact with doing business on that level is we were. Because if I look back, did we know what we were doing on the game? Because we were just farther into the process of becoming a developer that can maybe craft and finish this game or know what they're doing with this game and also craft a business out of this. Because it was still a point where we said there was no release date or something. There was nothing.
It's kind of insane because we were chasing the ambition instead of kind of having
Yeah.
a plan and having a product and the deadlines ready. It was chasing the ambition, and then also, of course, money was a big part of that as well.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I remember me saying it.
Needed it and didn't have it.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
I think it was, I remember that money, we could, of course, go for a bigger amount. And that's what I said, like, it's not entirely it, because we can also craft something for a smaller amount.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's when we hit Starbreeze. I mean, that, even though what happened with that company, it's still a big chance they took on us.
I think it's one of the hardest choices they make because we didn't have a track record. So they saw our product, and of course it was kind of a demo or a tech demo, and it looked beautiful and it sounded beautiful. But they saw something in this process and they believed in that. And I think that is a very risky move.
Yeah.
Even when things turned out a little different,
Yeah.
I think that is I admire that move.
Yeah, I remember the biggest lesson I think I already got from the start was entering the boardroom in Sweden and presenting the game or the presentation. I usually can craft something nice that it
looks nice.
It looks nice.
Yeah.
But then the reality of things are always clear. But I remember, Jordy, that was like, oh, nice presentation. So we're going to cut it like in half there and that's your game. We got shown what our game actually was. And they were right. I think.
Yeah, and then we said, "Oh, we want $400,000," and they're like, "We're going to give you 500." And we were like,
Yeah.
"Okay, we'll take it."
Yeah.
And I remember we were walking out with Alexis, and he was like, "How do you guys feel?" And we were like, "No, we're fine." He's like, "You just got the deal." We're like, "Yeah, we know."
Yeah.
And we just were quiet and awkward. I was very shy. I'm never shy. We got in the elevator. We waited to go like a floor down. There was a suite floor. We started freaking out.
Yeah.
That's the most I mean, we went around the corner. We immediately had drinks to celebrate. We called
Yeah.
everybody. I could tell we did not stop celebrating while we were there. I think it's the first time in my entire life. Me and Koen had separate rooms, and it really, one of the fanciest hotels I've ever stayed at. And we drank every single thing in both fridges. I have never drank a thing in a hotel fridge.
Me neither.
I'm not paying for this. We drank them all.
Yeah.
We went from one. We got a noise complaint. We were happy.
It was a
lightly.
huge win at that point, and we
Yeah.
needed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Bo, who was in charge back then, saying like, so how did you like Stockholm? You went sightseeing, right? And I said like, yeah, it's pretty nice. He's like, bullshit, you're shitless.
Yeah. You guys have been drinking.
Yeah.
That's when we saw him at dinner. Yeah, and it was the truth. We probably stank. We
Yeah.
drank everything in the hotel fridges.
Yeah.
We've been both. Just nuts.
But
Two
it
people.
it crafted, funny enough, the entire structure of what we do, what we learned today, like where we are now, even how Kickstarter and doing these streams and stuff is really something that started back then, doing streams, and we're still doing them now, actually again, because it was a long time hard to pull this off. But
But after that deal, of course, you are starting to go into development. And then you're in this kind of different cycle where you have the money, you can meet the ambition with the finances supporting that. And that's kind of a different process because I know that we've been streaming as well, kind of doing more of a presence thing. we need to stop that because it was we needed to really be in deep development at a certain point.
Yeah.
So maybe we can dive a little bit into Guy because he is doing the production now at KeokeN.
Mm-hmm.
Development. What can you say a little bit about the process? How you do things now?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm obviously like the producer. Currently, the sole producer on the project that we're working on. Basically, as a producer, my ultimate job is just to facilitate the team that I'm working with. Anything that goes wrong in processes, try and find the bottleneck there, and iron it out. Make sure it's fixed. That could be a small process or something big. Doesn't really matter. The devil's all in the details. But yeah, I mean, during development. Sorry, what was the question again? We kind of get lost on the track.
No, it's a very generic question I just asked.
Sure.
It was more like on production side of things because we were diving into development, and of course, like you are on a different level doing production on a much more professional level than we did it then. I just wanted to have your definition and like how you run the team right now.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, what I'm doing right now is just facilitating the team, and I will always try and do that really. Besides that, really, I also like do a lot of publisher tasks, some legal stuff here and there. But yeah, like the main job of a producer is making sure that the team that you have, the development team that is working on the project, is working in its optimal state really. And I mean, you can notice when a producer is not there or absent or not on his full potential, you can basically see the velocity of the team just going down, or being non-existent, which is the worst case scenario.
Yeah. Now, I think that you could definitely see we were kind of in this learning phase as well, that the flaws within the products were kind of a reflection of the flaws in our organization.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And that was quite tough, but it's kind of like we needed to learn that.
Yeah.
We were quite green with everything, but it became more professional along the way.
I think that from if you start a game, or of course we had a horror game in the beginning phase. That was just not really doing it for me. If it comes down to debuting with anything, it was also the engine that didn't help us. But I remember that if you do a game like Deliver Us the Moon, and back when we were still having the Kickstarter, it felt so. It felt like that we were on top of our game and you were controlling everything. But once you start accepting investments and stakes get bigger and there's more people involved, then you start to see that this is a beast that is hard to control. And I think what is important is if you, as a company or as a game developer, start to get these shifts into your production, because you're going to get shifts. If your ambition is high enough and you have a goal, you have to kind of think of if this is still making sense in some way. And with Deliver Us the Moon, we were so soaked up in development and trying to run a studio that, or actually, sorry, not a studio, a project that you kind of forget that you are also responsible for the studio. And that's so hard because it's actually schizophrenic in my, if I have to say so.
I think you're saying it right. So you get sucked up into the details of a project so much that you forget that you're running a company. So you need to get some sort of overview and kind of zoom out and run your company and not be stuck in your ambition of one specific project. And that can be quite tough. And we needed to learn this as well. It's like, how can we kind of be within the team and be in the project, because the team wasn't that big and we couldn't delegate everything. There was not so much money that we could do everything or spend it with somebody else. And that was also a lesson for us as well, to learn that way of perspective, zooming out, zooming in. And I think we were in some way, we were both stuck in deep development as well. Couldn't see the overview of the company.
No.
And that was resulting in some problematic stuff as well.
Yeah, for sure. And missing entire, because if you're so, and I think Guy can already see some of the same, where you forget a little bit about time in your environment around you. And when there's, for example, some milestone deliveries or important deliveries, you're kind of forgetting like what day it is. And
everything just goes and builds up to that that moment really, in that deadline. So you often forget what day it is, what time it is. I mean, the only thing you know really is what the deadline is. If that's a Friday or Monday, it doesn't really matter. But you want to get done by then, and the project needs to be at a certain state. So your focus really goes onto the project and making sure that you get all those boxes checked, for the publisher. So you definitely lose track of time when you're in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. What about your team? Once it grows, there's many creative parts in the team, like the programmers that always are annoyed when people just dump shit on the line and need to find out, and it all causes issues and bugs, and then there's so many people just pushing stuff onto the project, and especially on those last moments, because that's where you're like, oh, but just this last bit in there.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? How do you stop that train?
I mean, a producer is kind of supposed to manage that as well, partially. I remember from our last milestone, that was kind of a hard thing to do when you have such a large team as well, because you're only one person really. So, you're kind of like the guard keeper, the doorkeeper for what goes in and goes out, but you can't really block away your source control either. So,
No.
it's a fine line of just making sure the team knows what is essential for the deadline and what isn't. And it's just common sense at a certain point, even though, ambitions do grow larger than deadline set. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And when we kind of made a mess because of our greenness, I think a simple way into kind of grabbing back your organization is to start cleaning stuff. Even with the physical environment.
Yeah.
Like if it's a mess, you start cleaning your papers. You start opening your mail if you didn't open that yet. Whoa! So some taxes I forgot to pay. And eventually you start to take back control on every part of it. But not everybody's gonna like that if you are in a certain kind of routine already with the team.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like grabbing control, just cleaning stuff, trying to be more organized, grabbing kind of that control back.
Maybe the excitement of the start of a game is because you're also learning what type of game you like to make, or games or genres, or something that you can see evolve into something that's your own. Although along the way there's these super dull things, and I've heard many people say this, but the first thing you need to do, and I kind of understand, is open the tax letter, read it, understand it, and try to kind of find a routine. Even though if it starts with, oh my God, this is going to take me a week. Take the week, do it, and suddenly it will take 2 days. Take those 2 days, do it, and suddenly it will take a couple of hours. And that's, I think, if it on studio size, already number one, I think, to make sure that you do well.
And I heard a lot of people say, of course, just get an accountant. And especially when somebody's starting off a company, you don't have the money for that.
Exactly.
So you need to do it yourself. But by doing it yourself, actually you understand what's happening.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good. You don't have to go balls deep in every discipline, but to know what's happening, especially when you're running the company, and what's happening with the money and what kind of taxes that you pay in the country that you are. I think that's a big benefit also when you talk to an accountant and when you can pay your accountant.
Yeah. Maybe a different angle, and I'm gonna first ask Guy and then ask Jordy. So of course, a studio game, you have ambitions. There's always there's no money, of course. Your ambitions are always too expensive in some point, so you need partners in here. What resembles a good deal for you, Gijana? What do you think? What would make that a good deal?
I mean, for me, it's really trying to get your ambition on paper. So defining the scope of your ambition. Once you define that and you know exactly this is what we want to make, this is the amount of time it will probably take with these amount of resources. I mean, then you can do some calculations based on the resources you need, the software that you need, all the other costs that go with that, and then at a certain point you have an estimation, and I think that estimation plus a certain percentage of overhead which you will need, I think that gives you a good indication of what you will need for that project or that ambition.
So when do you make the compromises, or where do you make the compromises when it doesn't meet that expectation?
So you're saying after you sign that money deal, for example?
Let's say before. So
Sure.
you don't have that. Where would you make the compromises?
Obviously, I would always try and make a scope breakdown. So a breakdown of the scope that you have in front of you. What are the priorities? That could be levels, that could be features, that could be a whole lot of things. And then you just have contingency plans for when you maybe, for example, cross off too many features, or once you only have 2 levels left, like a game can't be only 2 levels unless that's exactly what you're aiming for. So it's just a breakdown of what you have. If the budget that you can get does not suffice for what you need, then you will need to cut away certain things.
Yeah, I agree fully. So you wanted to ask Jordy as well the same question?
Jordy, if you would sign a deal, what is a good deal?
So I probably would have Gigiano do all the numbers. First, right out of the gates. I think that was a very well said answer. But, as kind of a baseline in a more kind of high level way, I would say a good deal is where both people have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
Compromise is going to happen. If I walk out of a deal and I think, you know what, this is what I'm happy about. This is what, maybe I don't feel as great about. But I know on the other side of the table, that's something that they were happy about, and maybe they don't feel as comfortable about one thing, and we're both kind of in this together.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of the foundations for a good deal. Then, of course, where the compromises come into everything that Guy said, I think we made a great point. But as just a foundation, it's like, do I trust the partner? What am I getting? What are they getting? Is it reasonable? Sometimes you can hear from a publisher certain things, and you think, but if you try to put yourself in their shoes and you're like, okay, like I can see this, I can bend the knee on this one, it's something like that. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
they have this expression, right? A good deal hurts on both sides.
Kind of. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, that's pretty
no, but
much
I think you give very good advice in saying you need to be compassionate and kind of try to be in the skin of the party that is on the other side of the table. And see sure, you always want to see the benefit as your own organization. Yeah. But when you kind of reach for the stars a little bit too deep, then you get nothing. Sorry?
You said it before, right? You said you thought that the fact that Starbreeze gave us anything was insane. So, and maybe it was, but that was good for us, which was, what we felt good about, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing too. It's like, that was their uncomfortable thing, probably, right? That taking a chance on kind of on a blind on us.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
If I put myself in their shoes, they took an enormous risk. You're right, but also as kind of a rule, people need a chance, and we were lucky enough to have a chance, and we're still kicking today because we had that first chance, and and the way things are getting professional, you have a guy who can run overhead numbers like Guy. I think that we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think, and because when you speak to people that try to get deals or try to make sense out of them, the hardest thing, because I think the game industry is still such a wasteland of whatever, there's no golden line here or silver lining that is this is the way you do deals. I read sometimes you should always ask the majority percentage, or you should ask this or that or this right. It all depends in the end on multiple factors. It's not just, these numbers should match because you're an indie and stuff, and because development is so easy now, or whatever. No, the weird thing is they are just crafted on the go. So it has everything to do with getting to know each other. If you feel like it, of course, they can send you something this is usually how we do it. And that's funny. You should listen to publishers. That's always what they say. This is how we usually do it. Means it isn't. It's always crafted towards something.
I got this call, I think 2 weeks ago, and somebody called me and said, so how does a deal work? What is kind of the standard? And I said, there is not really a standard contract.
Yeah.
It's of course, you can sign very bad contracts, but it's kind of you're on the market, so you need to see it a little bit more clear, and you're kind of bargaining for this product, and you're I'm going to pay €5, and I'm going to pay €2, whatever. And this is kind of the same with a deal, only the stakes are a little bit bigger, and of course you need to have a lot of contracts, legal things going on that you are more invested, because it's not just one sell, it's this longer period of time that you're attached to one another.
I think in our case, I already love that there are parties that kind of want to help in the ambition and vision we have and what we need, to craft something. Because Paul and me always say, like, you can say whatever you want, but I think you should have a destination for anything you do. Money, the idea, the amount of people you're going to put on there. You should have an idea about these things, even though if the idea is bad. Because we also had an idea back, like when we signed with Starbreeze, and that's a whole lot different idea than we have now. Yeah. But we didn't know in the beginning, and we. Of course, we also give, and it hurts on our end. But there's no way otherwise, I think, that you can reach something together.
Or if you are asking, for example, for more money, but you don't know kind of like the result or what you're going to use it for.
Yeah.
I find that strange.
Yeah.
Also, if you are searching for a publisher, a lot of people think like, I'm searching for a publisher because I need money. I said, like, do you need money? Do you need marketing? Do you need some help on developments? Do you need production?
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of like smaller indies, they first need to come up with their mind is what are they searching for in their partner?
Yeah.
Is it money? Is it only that? And the full creative vision will stay at the company? Or do they need some help in growing the company?
Yeah.
Maybe even their organization?
Yeah.
And then the whole deal structure changes because maybe it becomes equity in the company instead of just a project.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, that's. I think a deal is always very custom, and of course there maybe people sign deals that have been done multiple times, but I think there's no, and of course you need to be careful in this industry. I mean, we're an example ourselves. I mean, shit, that was a beating.
so maybe kind of to continue kind of the story. So what happened after Starbreeze?
Yeah, I mean, that's where you have to... Well, I burned out. Let's start with that. I completely burned out, and you kind of had to fix it. And the time being.
That's kind of hard. Like, things kind of didn't... it went south. And of course, we needed to make sure the game saw the light of day. Meant that I think we were around 20 people, needed to have the company, kind of let people go, which is like really tough. And I think... we grew up from that a lot. So it's kind of like a little trauma, a little kind of entrepreneur trauma that you get there. But you learn a lot of lessons there. And then again, like a lot of people tell you like, hey guys, you are like 100K in red. Good luck. Your company is like bankrupt now. And it's up to you to decide like, are you gonna push through?
Actually, I wanna say something because Jordy, you were here with this moment. I remember, and we can't go into exact details there, but I remember that it was a December 2017. We just heard a couple of things that made us decide that we had to let go a couple of people. It was in the I remember in the hotel room, and you know what you said? You remember what you said to me?
Tell me.
You said, "You can let me go, just let me leave." And I said, like, no, that's not a wise choice. You just offered yourself like, well, whatever, I'll quit for you.
Something? I got into the biggest argument with my girlfriend after that. I told her that. You told her what? I'm not even kidding. That's a true story as well.
But
she's like, never do that again. Thanks, you idiot. Look, I think something that I would think is really important to say is, especially if you're starting up as an indie, I have like kind of a baseline rule for the way I live my life, and I try to live by this. Sometimes it's super hard, but it's like I always try to run at something that I'm afraid of, and failure is okay as long as you learn from it.
Yeah.
So this is an example. Whenever you have to let people go, it feels like a failure, and it is, and it's hard, and it's just not nice, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
But the fact that, if I look at KeokeN now and I see the team has grown and things are being run in a professional way, it's like you guys learn from the situation. So I think that that's massively important.
Yeah, I wanna actually mention someone that got the hard news when we got back, and that's Gerben.
Yeah,
Gerben, who was our artist back then, concept art direction, or did a lot of things for Deliver Us the Moon.
Yes,
really got the hard news. We said like, sorry, we cannot continue. And the good thing, because I want to give a good spin to this, is he is back at the company since for a couple of months, half a year, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe it's even longer already. But that's such that's such a good thing, you know.
I have to say, like such a situation, it's not that you want to win back history, but
No.
when it fits and when you kind of like align again, sure, you can kind of fix
Yeah.
history a little bit.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's but you can see that it can turn a good way eventually, even though it hurts at some point, and
Yeah.
then it might turn back.
I have to say, you have to be a little crazy because the line is very thin and being very naive about it. Like, hey, you just need to give up now, man. You lost. You lost the game.
Yeah.
Good luck.
That's a
And
good one.
pushing through. And I don't know. Like some people ask us, like, why did you go ahead if like a bank just called you bankrupt almost? Why did you continue? Like these people know what they're talking about. How would you be changing that? We did though, but I'm not sure. So what pushed us forward to say like, yeah, we keep believing in this? Was it our naivety or something?
I don't know. I think I just don't see something at the end of the tunnel anywhere else.
It
So
needs to be completely.
It
that.
just didn't make sense to me to do that. It
No.
made like, okay, so whatever. What do we need to do then?
But then again,
I can never have a normal job, Jordy.
No
but then
chance.
again, like we could have that thing, but there were still like people working in the company needing to have or seeing that same vision. They could also say like, "Yo, this is completely fucked up."
Yeah, many of our employees actually at some point were. I mean, I know what you've told them in the hardest moments, and the fact that they're still here today. That is, there's no words for it to describe it, and
It's very shameful, to be honest. Like it's very shameful to tell employees that you can't pay them another month, and that you can tell them like, "Hey, I don't even think it's unloyal if you leave now. You can leave," but people stayed. So people took kind of the risk that you should take as the kind of the head of the company. But yeah, I think within this industry, and especially the people that we have, the core team, they somewhat saw this vision as well.
Yeah, it's
believed in it.
It's amazing that they kept that faith, and that's why I also like that we came true to our words. That if anything goes for the better, that we can also be the opposite of it, you know, and make sure that we get a better situation for everyone.
I think we have always tried to be as transparent as possible with the people that are there. So even when things went south so bad, then we just told them as raw as possible, like this is what's happening. But we were not happy with it.
No.
So there were a lot of doubts in like, should we just continue this or just let it die? We always chose the differ.
So I'm gonna give this another spin to maybe as a final subject. We are in a pandemic situation now, and honestly, I've been thinking we're in a state with the company and with partners around us that I'm super grateful for. I'm like, you know, if you start out, I think it's even double hard to get the right partners met around you in a situation like this. I mean, Jordy, what do you think? We cannot bump into someone like Starbreeze as easily. Well, or to some extent, you can go to events and you can talk to people, but there is something to these events. You know, it's also an adventure terrain. It's almost a game itself. You know.
Because both publishers we met at events, physical events.
Physical events, yeah.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think, you know, even though the world's becoming more digital, I think this pandemic has taught us that we're still really social animals in the way that we actually want to like see each other. I love working from home, but at the same time, I used to joke around like, I hope I never see my colleagues again. I can't wait to see them. You know, we're human beings, and that is we are social. And you know, I would find it pretty difficult to connect with someone, especially initially, you know, through the screen and not through you know. Having the person in front of you, sharing a good time with them, and you know, it's just not the same. Hey, we'll have a beer virtually. It's just not.
No,
you know,
it's no.
You know, and it's harder to build rapport and really kind of like, you know, it's just impersonal enough to make that more difficult. Now, I don't think it's impossible to find a partner right now, but I would say that I do think it is more difficult.
Yeah,
I definitely do. Yeah, I think that's a very fair Koen.
Yeah, I remember that there's moments where we just grab someone or walk to someone or you talk to someone that knows someone and you that's something you don't do so easily online. Like, oh wait, I'm gonna chime him in my call now or something.
We had some
very weird.
But we had some very awkward approaches when you approach somebody from the back. That sucks. Like in physical, like on these physical forms. I think it was Patrice from Patrice Desilets. We grabbed him from the back.
Well, that sounds really weird, Paul.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But
it reminds me of Boston when the girl from Starbreeze grabbed me from the back.
Oh yeah, that was not from the back at all.
That was a different grab.
That was different. I know what sexual harassment is for real.
Whoa, dude, that's something.
I'm the victim.
That was a conversation
You are.
she had with me, and she wanted to kind of showcase and portray how she deals with men.
Well, she has an iron grip, I can tell you that much.
Yeah,
No. Oh, there was a little noise in there.
yeah,
No, but it's I'm missing these physical events. Yeah, we had the privilege to have traveled to a lot of these events before, so we could just kind of go on with those people and those.
Well,
networks.
maybe for Guy, you were meant to be going to GDC.
Yeah.
Was it last year?
March.
Last year,
Yeah,
yeah.
actually, I missed it last year because I actually was invited. I believe I got like 2 tickets. Couldn't go at the last moment because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
So it was an online event, I believe, for the first time ever for the GDC. And I mean, March just went by as well, so that was another online event, I'm assuming.
yeah.
Yeah, it just really sucks. I wish I was there in San Francisco. I got everything booked, the tickets, the flights, the hotels, but yeah, everything just went up in smoke.
Yeah, we had to cancel everything too.
I went to the last one on PAX.
Yeah, you were the last one in America, besides from Jordy, because you're still there. What are you doing there?
Well, the last time I went to an event was with you guys at PAX East.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Saw you guys there, and then I saw Koen coming back from PAX West, or
PAX West, yeah.
yeah. So this went into a long story. Is Jordy? Can you tell everyone that is going to look at this, like, if you would do games and business, is there something, a takeaway you want to give to them, like what?
I want to reiterate what I said before. I think you should absolutely do it, and I think that as a general rule, run at things that you're afraid of.
Yeah.
Right, just run at them, because nobody knows what they're doing at first. Nobody. We didn't know what we were doing, and the only reason we learned is because we were just doing things. And I always think, like, it's really hard advice to follow, but it's the sincere truth. Like, oh, how do you start a game company? Oh, well, I guess we'll go to an event. And we just started trying things, and you learn from doing things, but there's nobody who's going to tell you, like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. And there are always going to be things that you can learn as well. So run at it. Failure's okay. It sucks at that moment. There's no sugarcoating that. But if you take whatever happened and you learn from that, then you can really be successful, and you can really make it in this industry.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Guy, what do you think? Or what do you want them to know?
I mean, every company starts with a vision, and I don't think you should ever let go of that vision. And yeah, don't forget the hard reality of life. I mean, a company needs to make financials, needs to make money. I mean, that's what a business is. But that doesn't mean that needs to be the core driving part of the business. The core driving part of the business is the whole reason why you're doing the business, and that is making the game if it's a game company. So yeah, just make whatever you feel like you want to make, and start from there. Don't start with, I need $1 million to start. Start with, I want to make something. What do I need to make the game, without thinking about money first?
Yeah.
I agree. If you do it differently, so you start from like a more of a money perspective. There are cases that this works, but I think it should start.
I'm gonna
with
try to help people to say, like, if you're still wondering if it's the right way you're going, if you did not at least had 3 moments in the shower where you were sitting in a corner, don't understanding who the hell you are, what you're doing, then you're not looking at the right things.
Scaring people is also. No, I think be naive about it. Just go at it. So I also like what you were saying is, don't be afraid. Like we fail every day at stuff, and we become better. I think our failure becomes our success eventually.
Yeah, try to find a way to relieve that stress because it sucks, and then you have to kind of breathe.
Couple that with crying in the shower, and you guys should be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Paul. Any last words? We're gonna see another next gen trailer because that's the next thing coming up for KeokeN.
Yeah. No,
Next Gen
I think I'm left off to say thank you so much, Jordy, for tuning in straight out of New York, and Ijano for doing this together.
No problem.
I like these
It's
My
things.
pleasure.
Right. Next gen trailer, guys. Enjoy it.